My name is Nicole Clovis, and I have the pleasure of being your moderator today. I'm a seconded consultant from the Bundesagentur für Arbeit, also to the Web Secretariat. Today's online seminar, which will last around 1 hour, will be conducted in English, but you have the opportunity also to check the interpretation, because we have interpretation in French and Spanish. If you look below on your screen, then you can see that there is a little globe and where you can choose your language and click on the language that you want to choose for today. The webinar is recorded also today, and it will be also very soon available on our website and also on our YouTube channel on Wapes TV. Also, I want to raise awareness that the presentation today is displayed in English, but it is also available. There's also a little resource button which you can choose. So it's also available in French and Spanish for you translated already. And I will also put it later in the chat. So you can see that our microphones are muted and that the cameras are shut off. But you can also use the chat facility to ask any question that you might want to ask to our presenter today. And so we can choose them. The ones that are not answered today, because we only have this 1 hour, we will be later answering via email to all participants. So, but I would like to move to our speaker of today. From Germany, I'm very, very honored, and it's really my pleasure to introduce to you Mr. Michael van der Kammen, who is the Director for International Relations at the German Public Employment Service. Michael is responsible for the division dealing with migration, recognition of certificates, labor market admission, as well as international counseling and placement. Super happy and very excited to have you here, Michael, and I give the word over to you.
Yes, thank you so much, Nicole. Sometimes my screen freezes just a little, but I think I have a good connection. It's nice. I don't see anyone. I just see a few faces, but I'll get started immediately. I've brought a few slides as well. Well, people, these are challenging times, aren't they? We had elections in Germany 2 weeks ago, and we have a right shift in parliament, but still we will have most likely a coalition between the Conservative Party and the Social Democratic Party. I can say this already for sure, because yesterday these both parties, they made a deal on taking on new credits in the astronomous size of 500 billion euros, which I'm sure they will spend a lot of money on defense. They did not say how much they would spend on defense, but especially the economic part is very, very important. Because the German economy is hampering, and we notice this on the labor market as well. So I will show you a few slides. Yeah, the economy is hampering, and we have also, you will tell me, Nicole, if everything is seen. We have different challenges, and the first slide, I think everyone listening to this webinar and joining this webinar knows that the challenges that we have to do, demographic changes, the digitization and ecology. Well, let's start with the German society. We're getting older. We're getting old. The population structure is changing, and the question is, in these WAPES webinars, what is the role of a public employment service in this? And I think for the BA, when I say the German Public Employment Service, I abbreviate it to BA. It stands for Bundesagentur für Arbeit, which basically means the Public Employment Service. We see ourselves as a partner of companies, of employees and job seekers, and we want to ensure them also in future employability. So this is our role in the demographic changes. The digitization, well, we all know that the kind of work that we do is changing. Artificial intelligence are slowly taking over already routine tasks. And our role in this is that we want to further develop our services as well to be these partners of the companies and the job seekers and the employees. Yes, and finally, we are living in the age of decarbonization. also in Germany, we're trying to make the transition to a climate-friendly economy, and that also offers economic opportunities. And that also means that new sectors are emerging. Have a look at the car industry, which is really rather big in Germany. The combustion engine is on its way out. It will all be electronic, and that also means when we have a changing economy, that also us as a public employment services, DBA, must actively support this change. So the question is, with whom do we do that within the public employment service? Let me give you a few numbers, because I also learned that there's lots of participants from outside Europe. Germany is a country with about 84 million people living in it. The labor market, we have about 45 million people that have access to the labor market that can work. And at the moment, we have about 35 million people working on a social insurance basis. And a couple of years ago, our organization took the decision not to retreat with our physical offices anywhere. Also, we have rural places in Germany, big country. So this was a key decision, although we do lots of things online nowadays, not to retreat from the local market. We do this with about 110,000 people working in our organization. It's really a big number, 110,000 people, but we have to support these 35 million people that are socially insured. And we do this in 600 branch offices, and they are split between 300 joint operated job centers with the municipalities, 150 local employment agencies with further outlets, and also 100 family benefit offices, because also part of our service is that we pay family allowances. This is usually not done anywhere, but we pay family allowances for everyone in Germany that has children. At the moment, it's like 255 euros, by the way, per child that you get, and we pay for this. If you have 110,000 people working in a public employment service, then obviously you need to structure your organization as well as a public employment service. So I will say something about the management later on. We have target agreements. Obviously, we have a head office. The head office is based in Nuremberg, from where I am calling as well. We have 10 regional directorates. We make the target agreements with the 10 regional directorates, and they make them with the local offices. The local offices, by the way, have the operative responsibility, and they decide for themselves how to implement their policies. But obviously, we need to check on how well they are doing. So a few pictures. This is our board. On the left-hand side, you see the chair of the board, Andrea Nales. The next guy, the only guy, by the way, in our operative board is Daniel Tetzenbach. He's, I would say, the operational manager in the board. So we call him Director of Regions. Then we have Katrin Krömer, responsible for resources, and my boss, Vanessa Ahuja, who is responsible for all the benefits paid, the family allowances, but also the unemployment allowances, and also responsible for the international affairs. Now, here it becomes already a little bit more difficult. Our organization is next year 100 years old. It's an old lady. So that means if you have an organization in this age, you sometimes have to reinvent yourself as an organization, don't you? You see here 3 directions. The left direction is I would say, the part of the organization where we started 100 years ago, paying unemployment benefits. Before these 100 years ago, if you were unemployed, you didn't get anything. So this was the social thought. If someone is getting unemployed, you have to give this person some kind of form of money, unemployment insurance, unemployment benefits. And who pays for this? our organization, this part of the organization, is not paid out of tax. It's an insurance. So we pay into our insurance, me as well. I'm not a civil servant. I'm working for the organization. That means that I pay 2.6% of my gross income on a monthly basis. These 2.6% are split between me, 1.3%, and 1.3% by my employer. And that also tells you who has to say in our organization. Because if we finance ourselves by the people working in Germany, it's the employers and it's the employees, isn't it? I will come back to that on the next slide. But the more people working on a social insurance basis in Germany, the better it is for us as an organization. Because with this money, on this slide it says 37.5 billion euros. It really sounds like a lot of money. It is a lot of money, but we pay usually on a yearly basis 16.5% on unemployment benefits for the people who are allowed for these benefits. So these are the people that have really worked and therefore paid into our contribution system. But we also pay about 3.3 billion euros on short-time allowances for the time that people cannot work due to, I would say, economic circumstances, or I would say if the weather is not good, so on the building site you cannot work in winter. This is where this money goes to. And we pay about 8 billion euros on active employment promotion. And this is what we do, not based from tax, but paid out of the insurance that people pay into when they work. This is the traditional part of our company. I also told you we have family benefits. We do that with 6,000 people of staff. This is the biggest part of our budget, by the way, nearly 50 billion euros on a monthly or on a yearly basis for child allowance. This obviously does not come from the unemployment insurance. This is a tax-based service delivery that we have. And on the right-hand side of the slide, you see the basic income services, which is basically the social welfare. We do this with 40,000 people of staff. We spend about 35 billion euros, and this is money that comes from tax. And we started doing this over 20 years ago, from the 1st of January 2004. Before that, this was a municipal task, and the municipalities were not really the professionals in integrating people on the labor market. Yes, they could pay the money, for sure that is like that. But the unemployment quote in Germany was we had over 5 million people unemployed. We had to do something. And as I mentioned already, sometimes you have to reinvent yourself as an organization. So the government said, let's have the professionals work on this. Let's have the Bundesagentur, the BA, the Public Employment Service, work together with the municipalities and split the tasks there. So we work together since 2004, hand in hand. So this is basically our government of the Public Employment Service. I will focus now on the insurance part because it's the traditional part. It's the biggest part of our organization. And it's also where most people work here. I already told you the one who pays into it has the say in the organization. That's why we are self-governed. So we do speak with politics. We do have a ministry, but they don't have the say in our organization. The say in our organization are the employee representatives, so the trade unions. We have the employer representatives, which are also more organizations, and we have representatives of public bodies, which basically means the federal government, the 16 Länder, and also the municipal part. And they discuss with us what is the best way for us as a public employment service to evolve. And they also target, obviously, they set up target agreements with the operative board, with the 4 people I showed you on the slide further on. We have this in the head office, the self-governing institutions, but we also have this on a regional level with the 10 regional directorates. We have advisory boards there. You see that on the middle part of the slide, but also in the local employment agencies. We work together with the employers, with the trade unions, and with the representatives of the public bodies on a local basis. So that is really a good way for us to make sure that we have really a lively ecosystem, so to say. Yeah, that's our organization. This is the answer to the question, with whom do we do the labor market integration? Nicole, are there any questions so far, or would you have a question on the governance of our organization?
So far, we don't have any questions in the chat, as I can see. But I would also like to motivate you all to put your questions in the chat to Michael that you might have, so we can raise them in between. It's not a problem if we're going to discuss them in between. So that should be okay. I don't have any questions in the chat so far. Michael,
That's
please,
fine.
you can
Okay.
go ahead.
I'm fine. And that also gives me the opportunity to drink a sip now and again, right? So
Yes.
next thing. Yeah, I didn't tell you what I'm going to talk about. The first chapter was who we are. I did this already. The second one I'm starting now is what is going on the German labor market. What are the trends? And also I will close with the final part. What are our services and how do we adapt to the future? So the labor market, the development of the unemployment. The development of our unemployment. Well, you see now in January 2025 we had 6.4% unemployed. February now as well, but you can see on the right hand side of the slide it's in German. There's a plus of 175,000. That is the comparison to last year. So these are the slides from last week. And there's a plus of 175,000 from last year. I tell you, we're not in a good state on the labor market. The economy is hampering, and we see this already on the labor market. You can see the development of the unemployment over the last 20 years. I told you already 10 minutes ago that 20 years ago we had over 5 million people being unemployed, and that was not good. So that means that we needed to reinvent our organization. The labor market was not in a good state, but I think we were really doing good until 2010. Also, the years afterwards, the labor market was favorable. Also, we were much more efficient as an organization, which we definitely were not until 2002. And I would say we really reached until nearly full employment until 2020. And then we had Corona, right? The companies had to close. We all remember what was going on. And the BA spent lots of money on short-time allowances. If we had not done that, then we would have had lots more unemployed people. By the way, I skipped this. I said 6.4% at the moment unemployed. It's not the ILO statistics, it's the BA statistics. According to the ILO statistics, we have now 3.7%. That has to do with the definition of being unemployed, which is a little bit stricter according to our own statistic. So this is the development. But the economic economic impact on the labor market, you can see now already. We had, I would say, the past 15 years an employees market, right? If you wanted to apply for a job, you could get the job because the employers needed to take whatever they they got. And a few years ago, we thought this would continue like this, but now the economics are hampering because for what's going on in the world, and also in the past 10, 15 years, there has been very, very little financial incentives on the German economy, and we notice this now on the labor market as well. So you see, yeah. Oh, this is what I wanted to show. This is what who works on an insurance basis. So it still looks good, like 35 million people. It's still an increasing trend, but we will not have this increasing trend for the next couple of years because using down. And also last week, EY, the company EY, predicted that in Germany this year we will lose another 100,000 jobs. They will be lost, and also on the economy we don't see any rapid recovery. That needs I would say a financial investment on the economy, and that's why I also started my presentation by saying that yesterday evening the two biggest, or not the two biggest, but the two bigger parties in the parliament who will probably set up a coalition, the Social Democrats and the Conservatives, that they are going to invest 500 billion euros on the economy, and this is really, from a labor market perspective, a really good message. So this is what the labor market at the moment looks like in a nutshell. Nicole, I will continue if there's no further questions, or you have a question.
There are already a couple of questions, but I might want to ask them a little bit later because the topic right now seems to be really going with what you told already before. So we're going to ask them later, but I'm going to collect them still. Please raise your questions, and I'll take a short, well, you can take a short break after the next part, and then we can see how they fit with the topic. I'm going to ask them then.
That's fine. Okay. So next topic. What are the services of the German Public Employment Services, the BA, that employees, job seekers, and the people we work for can expect for us? We have 5 fields of action, and I would like to start with the jewels of our society, our children. What BA does, and this is not self-evident for all public employment services worldwide, is that we provide career counseling, and it is important to us that we give a stereotype-free career orientation to the youngsters. We have 1.9 million young people. I would say between 25 and 35 years old, that do not have a vocational education. And that's why it's important that we try to reach out to these people. So these are not only the needs that are not in employment or in training or in education, but also the other people that perhaps work but do not have any vocational education. We try to reach them because, as I mentioned, with the changes going on the labor market, it is necessary that we provide support here and career guidance. And that also means for us that we need to expand our career digital tools, which we are updating at the moment. So, but we don't only focus on the young people with career entry. There are lots of people working already, but as I mentioned, the markets are changing, and that's why it's also so important that people understand that lifelong learning is of importance. We don't have these people, or we should not have these people anymore that start their job and do the same thing for 40 years, because usually it will not happen like that anymore. Um, uh, we also know that about 20%, at 20%, the unemployment rate for people without vocational qualifications is about 7 times higher than the unemployment rate for people who have completed vocational training. And that's why we invest so much money from our unemployment insurance in further training support, and including also, I would say, about 1 billion euros for employee qualification. And this is also something that is not self-evident for a public employment service to do, because in the past we always focused on unemployed people, people looking for jobs, but now we also focus on people that are in companies and need in-company training. So we have the possibilities to support employers in upskilling the people working there. So that is the vocational training. Field of action number 3 is tapping potential in Germany. On this slide, I have wrapped together, I would say, the target groups, the women, older people, people with disabilities, people on basic benefits, and people with a migration experience. Let's start because this is really also untapped potential that we have in the country, in Germany. Lots of people always ask, especially nowadays, is it necessary to put so much emphasis on forced migration, steered migration from outside Europe as well? Because we have so much untapped potential. I will answer that question in a minute, but let's have a look at the untapped potential, and let's start with the female employment rate. It is rising, but it's still below that of men. 79% of men in Germany are working. The women are nearly there, they're at 72%, but we can still increase this number because especially the labor market participation of foreign women, I really say foreign women, women not with any German past, that is far below that of German women. I don't know if these people are coming from a certain region or not, but we see that women with no German past, they have an employment rate of 55%. That's nearly 20% below the German women. The German women lay with 75%. So that makes in total 72% of women compared to men. So especially for women, we need to target as a public employment service. The older people, the employment rate rose significantly to 71% for older people. And this puts Germany in the 3rd place in an EU comparison after Sweden and after Denmark. So we're not doing bad there, but there's still untapped potential. And people want to retire early. I know people go on the street. We saw this in France as well, because they want to retire early. But we need these people. We need the potential. So how can we change this? And also, what is the role of the public employment service? Well, I think employers should focus on a shorter and more flexible working models. Also after retirement age, this is a possibility, but we can also provide, as a public employment service, financial support for employers to train all the people extensively in the company, but also people that are disabled. We have over 3 million people working in Germany that are disabled. Or at least they have access to the labor market. 47% are employed, compared to 75% on the population as a whole. So there's untapped potential of them as well. Half of them have a vocational or a university degree. So that means that we have to invest in these people as well, and usually in accessibility, which are often subsidized. And as a role for us as a public employment service, we can advise the companies on how to do this as well. Yeah. Also, I would say, This is the fourth action field of action, strengthening employment biographies. There's still, as I mentioned, untapped potential. I think one of the reasons is why, especially women, they're still at home um, because I would say the surrounding elements or the structure is not like that they can say I can work on a full-time basis or I can work at least part-time. I have young children. I wouldn't have to I have the necessity to put them into a kindergarten, for example, but there's no place in the kindergarten. So we have to have a look and work with our partners to make sure that these people can do the work. We have to focus on their life situations, and we need a coordinated design of, I would say, family policies. And there we have our part as well. We have to say it's not either they work or they support their families. We have to make sure that they can do both these families. We have to think family and work together. And here we have also a part in this. The final field of action, facilitate immigration. Let's start with the question: do we need immigration? Yes or no? I already said that we will probably, according to EY, the studies, we will lose another 100,000 jobs on the labor market next year. But the really big problem is still coming in about 10 years, not even 10 years' time. I would say 2032. What you see here is Germany, a comparison between Germany in 2023 and June 2024. You see the green colors, which are good. You see the blue colors, they're not good. The dark green colors means that these are the number of the German employees with a German pass that work on a social contribution based. Green means there is an increase in the people with a German pass, and there is an increase in the people that do not have a German pass. So not only people with a migration background, but really people like me, I'm Dutch, but also people coming from our Germany that support the German economy in working. And the green colors are okay. It either means that the number of people with a German pass is increasing and foreign people are increasing on the labor market as well. Blue usually means that either the number of German employees is increasing or declining, and the people with a non-German pass is also increasing or declining. But the most blue part means that the decline of the Germans are not being compensated by people with a non-German pass. And if this happens, we will lose about 7 million people, over 7 million people on the labor market. Remember what I mentioned, we have 35 million people now working. If you deduct these people, 7.2 million people from the labor market, then the question is, who's going to pay into the pension plan? I also mentioned that we will have lots of artificial intelligence taking over routine jobs. Artificial intelligence does not pay into the pension plan. The pension plan is a 20th century invention. It's based on people working, and they pay into the pension plan. So we have to find this out, and that's why we need the untapped potential that we already have here. And we need also people from abroad. And I just saw in the chat, Michel van Smorenburg, I already have to, to smile. Michel, I will definitely take you on because I know you have a very good contribution from a Dutch perspective here. Okay. Yes, so much to our services. Nicole, is it good to already open up the question round? Because I have one final part. This final part is our strategy. and
Yes.
how we want to make ourselves fit for the next 5 years. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that will be very interesting to have a little bit a deeper look into the future. But we have some questions here in the chat and several ones that are dealing with
Let's
the
have it.
former parts. So I'm also quite curious to hear about that because you talked on now a lot of migration into the labor market and untapped potential.
Mm-hmm.
However, Germany is known for its very strict and but very excellent vocational education system. So we would like to know how challenging is it for someone that comes from another country and migrates into Germany to get their vocational training recognized, like equivalent into the German system?
Yeah. Well, to start with, I have to start with I would say the history of the vocational education system in Germany. This is such an old system. It's 1,000 years old. Um, it is not self-evident that young people go and study, do a bachelor degree or a master degree, which is really easy to accept. Most of the German youngsters, including my son, by the way, they do a vocational education. So this is the thing that is really important for the German economy. Now, for I would say 15 years now, we've had the discussion of making it easier for people from other countries come to Europe. That means that we to people that also can do something. We have doctors, nurses, and carpenters, I would say, or car mechatronics coming from other countries as well. And how to bring these two vocational systems or study systems together, that takes its time. That means that we have the need of acceptances of these how to say this uh, um, what they've learned, the certificates. Yes, it is possible. It is also now easier, I would say, if you come from. We don't have that problem in Europe, and also from outside Europe, you don't need to have the acceptances of these certificates anymore for the non-formal sector, so to say. If we're not talking about state educations, that sort of thing. So it's becoming easier, but we have to focus in the next couple of years to make it from an administrative point of view easier. Yeah, so I would say over the past 5 years, it has become easier, but we still have to focus on making it easy, even more easy for people to come to Germany, because we still have I would say, some hurdles on the administrative point of view. I see your heart. I don't know from where it comes from, but I thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Michael. No,
Yes.
that is really it's already helping us a little bit understand which challenges and which strengths are within the German vocational system. And we had some questions on that. I'm sorry, you wanted to say something.
No, fine.
Okay, perfect. Now we have a couple of questions that also go with what you have been already talking about, but also how it looks for the future. What are the future plans of the BA? So I would encourage you to go on, and then we take some questions from there, Michael.
I would like to hear what Michelle wanted to say. Is that okay?
Of course, yes. He had question on the what's the role and attitude of the Bundesagentur für Arbeit towards the more than 7 million mini jobs. Do you actively promote mini jobs for job seekers? An interesting question.
Yeah, we facilitate the system. We facilitate the system. I would say we help upskilling these people as well. The mini job system is not. I would not say it is a system of the public employment service as such. Everyone can do a mini job. People can also have a job and do a mini job on top of that. But obviously, for the people working on this mini job. On the mini job, I think at the moment with a mini job you get like 550 euros. I'm not 500 euros, something like that. Yeah, we don't facilitate it. It's just you can apply for it and you have it. But if people want to have counseling or whatever or upskilling, we help these people as well. Okay. Okay. So we need to make sure that we need to get fit for the future. And obviously, we have, as a public employment service, also a mission statement. We have what you see now on this slide. We have a strategy pyramid, and this pyramid graphically represents the strategic relationships that we have within our organization. So the aim is for the various levels that we have in the organization to well coordinate with each other. So on the very top is our strategic mission statement, which formulates our desired identity, where we see ourselves as a public employment service. And there's also an overall strategic orientation for all the subordinate levels you see under there. We also have, I would say, projects, that really big projects, operative projects that bring our organization along. And we have line business, what we do in each local office. And they both, the projects and the line business, they form the elementary level and implement the strategy on a day-to-day basis in the departments. And they provide us in the head office with valuable insights into the feasibility and the effectiveness of our strategy. Our mission statement is basically that we provide orientation and security for people and businesses in Germany. We want to secure livelihoods. We want to create individual labor market opportunities and support self-determined employment. And also we want to have a close cooperation with the three parts I showed you on the first slide, between the employment agencies, the job center, and the family benefit offices. Yeah. The future model. The future model. We need to now in 2025, we need to strengthen our internal management systems. We need to improve our strategic decision-making processes. I told you the size of our organization. I also mentioned that sometimes you have to reinvent yourself, and we are at the brink of doing this. We need to enhance now cross-departmental coordination to streamline operations, and we need to expand performance measurement tools for tracking process as well. We need organizational transformation. That means that we are now at the brink of redesigning our internal structures to adapt to changing labor market demands. We need to become more agile as an organization. That means also project-based work environment. And we need to develop new training programs to support employee adaptation to digitalization as well, because one of the major targets is that we become a digitalized organization. So I see that this they didn't take the slides really good, because I'm probably doing this on my iPad, but it doesn't matter. What will happen in the next couple of years, and we're starting now, is we have 5 customer group journeys, and we need to test these journeys in our local offices. In 2025 and this year, we will launch a nationwide new HR operating model. We need to we're launching a new controlling operation model, and we will gradually roll out new customer operation models to all the regions that we are working now on in the projects and in the line business. And as I mentioned, and one of the biggest things we've started doing as well, we are not we are not the best public employment service in Europe yet in using AI solutions, but our target is to be one of the top 3 public employment services, or not the top public employment service, until 2030, rolling out digitization measures. And that's why we want to roll out the optimization of AI solutions. We use them, these AI, in some points already. So, for example, in the automated document processes, in application processes, we use AI. We use them as forecasting aids through the analysis and pattern recognition of historical data sets. We also use them by reading customer data from CVs. So we don't need to do this manually anymore, and also check data quality, like job offers, that sort of thing. But it's not enough. I think there are other public employment services nowadays in Europe and also outside Europe that do better. And until 2030, we want to have done that already better as well. So that means, that is our business intelligence and AI strategy in 2030 in using that. Yeah, I just skipped this slide that graphically shows, I would say, the Bundesagentur, the German Public Employment Service. Like, we built this house 20 years ago. The children are now, I would say, adult. They don't move, they don't live in the house anymore. So, and sometimes the house has to be rebuilt. And at this point, we are doing that. So this is the rollout for the next 5 years in reinventing ourselves. And by 2030, we will do this with our employees. And we have to invest in the digitization, as I mentioned, and the use of artificial intelligence. And I also hope, I don't only hope, I'm sure that we will also invest in, because you asked me, Nicole, how is that? You know, people come abroad from other countries, they have their certificates, but it's not only about the certificates, it is also about what skills people bring with them. So we have to get better at skills-based matching. This is also what we learned, and that's why we also need to make sure that we make use of artificial intelligence, that we know what skills people bring with them, and in future that we can also use artificial intelligence in matching the skills of these people to the jobs. So these are, I would say, a couple of things that we're working on. And that brings me to the end of my input. So thank you very much. I think we have 11 minutes for further questions.
Thank you so much, Michael. Was really, really also the last part very interesting, because we had a lot of questions on artificial intelligence, which you already really precise already and answered, because you gave a very good overview what's coming next and what's the vision of the Bundesagentur für Arbeit. Yeah, of course, there's lots of questions in the chat, and I would like to draw the focus a little bit on, because many people have been asking how the German PES collaborates with local businesses and industries, because you also talked about untapped potential and matching for better skills matches. Is there anything that the BA, the Bundesagentur für Arbeit, especially offers to untapped potential groups, like to say maybe older workers, people with a migration background that come to Germany? Is there anything that you have in mind?
Well, first of all, the employer's representation is in each local office. So that's why we automatically get feedback from employers what their needs are, and we set up mutual programs with them together. This is one. The second thing is we have the possibility, we have the finance to upskill people in local businesses, especially the ones of which we know that they are having jobs, that these jobs will not be there in 5 or 10 years ago, in 5 to 10 years of time. So that we support employers in upskilling these people and upskill them now before they lose their jobs. So this is one strong thing that we have. So we give orientation not only to unemployed people, but also people in companies. Look, this is how the market is changing. You should upskill now before you lose your job, and we can finance that as well. Older people, that was also the question. Yeah, also it's exactly the same. Um, it's exactly the same. Upskilling the people. I would say it's a combination of guidance, counseling, uh, upskilling, and reskilling of these people for what the labor market needs and what the future wishes are. Yeah. And also, yeah, this is a traditional one. So sometimes it is like this, the traditional aspects you forget, and you tend to focus on what is new. The traditional aspect is also that if we have unemployed people that are already a little bit older, and the company says, yeah, we would take it, but we need to incentivize, so to say, the company, then we can give a financial incentive to get these people hired. This might be something that might become more important again in future. As I mentioned, the economy is not doing well. We're now back, I would say, going back towards an employers-driven labor market instead of an employees-driven labor market. So this incentive might become more, might become might become more wages, so to say, have more weight on this. Yeah.
Thank you, Michael. Yeah, you talked about how you sit
Oh,
together on the. Can you hear me?
yes, yeah.
Yes. Yeah, you talked already how you sit together on the table with the employee side, the union side, and the employee side. So we have one question that goes a little bit more precisely, and
Mhm.
this person is asking if you could please tell us how your public employment service operate on a territorial level. So how much independence and independency do they have, and how much are they financed or influenced by the board?
You mean the board, or does she or he mean the board oh, you mean in the head office, the
Yes,
board in
and
the head
in the head
office?
office, yes.
Yeah, no. Um, if you work with target agreements, what we do, you forecast the targets on the basis of how the labor market is changing. And we collect this data from each local labor market. So all the local offices give, I would say, labor market information. So we have a target agreement, I would say, for the whole organization. We split them to the 10 local regional offices, and then we have the local offices. But it is always a dialogue between the local offices and the regional offices for what is possible for the next year. But you have to set up a target. You have to have some target and say, this is what we aim for. And how they implement it on a local basis, they need to decide that themselves, because you have, from the regional perspective, you have to make the heads of the local offices responsible for what they're doing. If the regional office has too much influence of what's going on, you don't need the target system. And the same goes for the board of the whole organization. If you say as a board, these are the target, and then in operational use you start interfering during the year, then from a local perspective, you can always say, yeah, I would have liked to have reached this target, but you told me how to implement it. So this is the reason why the local offices are completely autonomous in implementing what needs to be done, and they can decide that with their ecosystem on a local basis. This is how it works.
Thank you so much, Michael. I take one more questions, and then I'm sorry, but then we need to finish up since we only have this 1 hour dedicated. But I have a question from the Republic of Moldova. They would like to know how the Bundesagentur of Germany supports implementing bilateral memorandum on seasonal labor migration in the agricultural field in Germany.
What we've done a couple of years ago is decide as for our whole organization, for which fields do we want to set up memoranda with other countries, and not also with every country worldwide, because otherwise it's too much for an organization. So we said everything that impacts the first slide: demography, digitization, ecology, and all the professions that are on there. So so we have no memoranda, I would say, for this. What was the group or the professional you said?
For agriculture, yeah.
Agriculture, yes,
yeah,
that was
sorry.
the word. Yeah, so we don't have one for agriculture, but what we do have, we have a certain paragraph in the immigration law that it makes it possible for people to work on the German fields just for a specific amount of time, and there we do have agreements with I think with 3 countries, with Georgia, with 3 countries, but we also see that the German employers are not making full use or potential of these memoranda that we've signed. So we will probably not sign any new memoranda in the near future. 3 more minutes? One more? No?
Thank you so much, Michael. No, we're sorry, but we have to finish. Well, on my clock it already says we have 1 more minute left. I'm sorry, but we cannot answer much more questions, but we're always a little bit restricted by the time.
Listen, because I had the feeling there were lots of questions which I definitely did not answer. Will you take them up? And I know Haben is in the round as well. We can mutually see what questions were not answered. You can also see who asked the question, right?
Yes, that's what I wanted to say. We're collecting all the questions and we will give them to you, and then we will get back to you all, because I know they're very precious, those questions to you, and you would like to get them answered. But I have to apologize that we have this short time frame only, and we cannot always answer all questions, but that's what we always do. We send everything back to you. I want to take also really the time to thank you, Michael, for having prepared such a really nice and interesting presentation on behalf of the Bundesagentur of the German labor market. Thank you very much. And like we said, we will get definitely back to you.
Okay, you can share the slides, by the way. That was just a question asked, yeah.
Absolutely. And they are also on the resources, and we will send them also back later. Also put them in the chat. You can download them from there if you see them. So I think this was really a great opportunity to discover everything today. And yes, please, if you can contact us if you have more questions, but the remaining question will be answered. So. And I would also like to thank our interpreters for today for the excellent work. I know they're doing a great job in the back, translating everything in French and Spanish. It's not always easy. Really, really big thank you for your participation and your interest in our WAVES webinar. We're very thankful for that. You're making this really happen. I really hope you have enjoyed and will come and visit us for the next webinar, which will be taking place on the 9th of April with France Travail, where our French colleagues will be presenting. But before we leave, I would also like to invite you to complete the satisfaction survey in the end. When we close this webinar, you can fill it out, because really your opinion matters to us and your suggestions are really helping us improve those webinars. Would you like to say some last words to everyone, Michael?
Yeah, I see the grazie and the thanks in the chat. That's really, really nice. I hope you learned something and you enjoyed this webinar. I enjoyed it from my side really a lot, and yeah, let's keep it at that. thank you very much for participating.
Yeah, thank you so much to all of you. And really was great to have you all here, to see you again. And we'll hope to see you soon. And we're wishing you a great day, afternoon, or night, wherever you might be on this globe. Bye bye.
See ya. Bye.